What does it take to thrive in leadership? I'm Annie Gibbins. Women's Biz Leaders starts now. Women's Biz Leaders, presented by Women's Biz Global, where each episode we dive into the journeys and successes of remarkable women in business. In this episode, we get an exclusive on the inspiring journey of Lisa Sweeney, CEO of Business in Heels. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Hey Annie, it's great to be here.
Great to have you share on leadership. It's women in Women's Biz Leadership, and I know you are a huge leader for your organisation, but how did you start being a leader?
Yes, well, I turned left at Albuquerque. I think that's where it starts. But funnily enough, I did a degree in agriculture and there were no jobs. And so I went into restaurants and hospitality for a little while and eventually found my way into retail, which is where I really got that chance to flourish.
So retail sales, you had to then sell products, but also what did you learn about yourself in that leadership journey then? Because you can easily hide behind the product.
You can, but actually I was in buying. So buying's quite an interesting thing, which many people have never heard of, where you actually get to spend money for a company and you go out and buy merchandise and you actually have to then make it saleable. So you have to think about, what does everybody want? What do they need to be wearing? What's the hot new fashion trend? So that's how I kind of found my way into retail, and it was just a perfect niche for me. I got to work with people every day. I got to support, I had a big team around me. I got to support lots of people, which I really enjoyed. But I was able to connect lots of people and great ideas and bring them to market.
Which is a huge leadership skill, being able to be that magnet, to be able to see what different people's needs are and actually just, to be a connector. How was that in your journey then when you thought you were going into agriculture and you end up as a buyer and in retail? I mean, that's a huge change for those watching the show now thinking, I've done a degree, I thought I was heading in one way, and it's not working out for me. Is it an issue of just go with the flow, just see where it takes you?
I think there's an opportunity, if you're adventurous, to just continue to follow your passions as they come out. I think there's that, for me, agriculture and fashion are kind of diametrically opposed, right?
Yes.
So clearly I had a love of fashion, but I didn't have a lot of knowledge. But one of the things that is really good in buying is being analytical. So I had quite a unique blend of being able to be analytical, which allowed me to assess the market and bring things to market and work out what was really good, bad or indifferent. And then I also had quite a creative streak, which is something that clearly I never thought I was going to practice in agriculture, but I quite like fashion. And so being able to complement the two kind of gives you that unique perspective that allows you to bring new innovative ideas to market and create opportunities. So I was running the young fashion side of Target for many years under the Hot Options brand, and we took it from about 5 million to about 150 million over the course of a few years. So it was very exciting times.
It is a very exciting time, and I do remember Hot Options. There you go, the things you learn about people. And you would have learned a lot about just different people, different creatives, different ways people's minds work. Do you have a project, that could be one, growing Hot Options, but what did you learn about your leadership as you were, becoming that manager or leader in a space that goes to multi-millions?
I think it's about actually valuing a team around you that can complement you. Everybody has their own skills, and part of mine was actually to bring ideas out and actually bring them to market and make them, but it's a combination of lots of people. So you need, detail-oriented people, you need to get the stock to the right stores, you need to have, the people that will challenge you to make sure that it's a really great idea, that you've actually thought about it, you've put all the thought processes in place. You need marketing people to help support you. So nothing's a one-person job, but it's about then being able to formulate a really effective team and give them the information that they really need to make it hum.
Now, you went from this huge career to then starting Business in Heels, and then championing leadership summits and things like that to help other women grow into their leadership essence, if you like, and their journey in that space. How important are those summits? Why should women go to leadership summits?
I think it's an interesting thing. Lots of people will say, oh, you know, we've got equality, you know, there's no problem. But in many industries, we're still not seeing the numbers change. So since I left senior leadership in corporate, I think we've got about 25% of women in senior roles. And so that's certainly not the 50-50 that are starting out. And in many industries, we're not even getting that into the pipeline. So what we're seeing is that many women get to senior leadership and choose to leave because they're not prepared to stay. And so what are the problems and why does that happen? So there's an element where people are thinking, well, is this what I really want to do? Do I want to be like that person? Maybe I don't aspire to be like them. And so part of what we do in the leadership summits is put some amazing role models forward so people can be what they can see.
Yes.
And so we have, you know, great keynotes, we have panels where we have amazing discussions, and this is all with senior women. So it's not to say that we have a problem with men, but it's about women hearing from other women the fact that it's never a straight trajectory, that they've often had to go sideways, backwards, around a major hurdle to get where they wanted to go. But the key factor is that they've been curious, they've never given up. And so it's that desire to be brave on one hand, and on the other hand, you know, be persistent. And no just means not now, not no. And so, you know, we have great days, and then we also have some amazing workshops, and they might be key to that particular industry. So we've got one coming up where we've got a leadership summit for women in tech.
Right.
And we're going to have some, you know, very tech focused workshops. We just did retail, and we had Roy Morgan come in and talk to us about the state of the market. And it gives people that opportunity to really understand that industry and maybe make some, you know, beneficial tweaks to what they're presenting in themselves, which might help them get ahead. So the purpose is to inspire, to inform, and hopefully enable the people that attend to have a different perspective on their career. And they'll often come up to me and say, oh, you know, when such and such was on the panel and she was talking about IVF and the problems she'd had with having children, I could so relate to her, and how people kept dumping on me at work because I didn't have children, so therefore I could be the one to take the extra work on. Not accepting that, you know, for me that was a real challenge. And so people, when they, you know, hear these things, just it helps to normalise, I think, what some of the bad behaviours are that are happening, and gives people tools and techniques on how to handle things.
That's an aspect that I love when you go to those summits, of how personable people are. Like even those great role models, gurus that you look up to, you know, like the Jane Ellises or something, and you go, oh wow, I'm hearing this inspiring speaker. But you also then hear behind their spiel their real life story, their challenges. They're very open and honest, and they've been very good at what they've done and been very successful, but they've also had a journey. We've all got a journey. I love what you shared there too, that women need these opportunities more because we often don't have that journey sort of straight out of school, you know, and whether we like it or not, and I'm that story. I probably would have done an MBA straight out of school, but I had, you know, 2 sets of twins plus another one, so I had 5 kids in a few years, and ended up doing 3 degrees to get to where I wanted to go. And the journey ended up, like you, different than where you thought you were going to head. And I think that is very symbolic of a lot of women, that you know, going off on a path, and because of life and circumstances, sometimes it changes greatly. And these opportunities are really worthwhile. So what do you think is the difference between, you know, mentoring and coaching and inspiring? We get all these opportunities as leaders in this space, and you do that through Business in Heels. How do you speak to those women who are saying, well, I'm at a stage of my life, do I need a mentor? Do I need a coach? Do I need to come to more summits? What's your response to that?
Well, usually you need all of it, but
Good answer.
And look, at the end of it, asking for help is a good thing. Nobody gets there entirely on their own. So coaching is great to help people stay on track and achieve a certain goal. I think mentoring is a piece that often is quite transformational because it provides information that you wouldn't otherwise have. So with coaching, people ask great questions, but you can only answer based on your experience. And so by having somebody else share their experiences with you might just broaden your horizons a little bit and think about things from a different perspective. So we find mentoring quite good at that transformation. Within an organisation, sponsorship and advocacy are kind of like the next steps. So you can have a mentor and they'll say, go for this job, do this, do that, whatever. You know, my advice is trying this or trying that, and this is how we might have gone about doing it. They might connect you with the right people, but the difference with sponsorship is that they'll actually get in there and try and create roles which will allow you to stretch. So perhaps in your skill gaps, you need to, you know, take on a project and really be seen to champion across a whole organisation. Those things don't just come up. They are often created, and they're created for people to allow them to develop their skills. And advocacy works the same way, but it can work internally and externally. And so quite often you might have a situation where somebody's got an advocate who might speak for them, particularly picking up a role externally to the company. And so all of them can be really important. And one of our mentors, actually, she's just left a major role with one of the major banks, and she's busy working sponsorship for her next role externally. So it's a concept where people can be more and more active on your behalf.
And I think they can be aware for our viewers that you can ask for these opportunities very much in a work environment. So while you're being mentored and coached along the way, if you get opportunities that you can see in your business, go, wow, if I got the opportunity to be a leader or a co-leader on a certain project, it would really help me springboard to the next step. We could talk about this all day. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Been a great conversation, and thank you so much for joining us. Always a joy to have you tune in, and I hope you are pursuing some of the little gold nuggets that we've been talking about today. Get yourself a coach, get yourself a mentor, start attending women's summits if you can. Think about, you know, what do you love in specific leaders, and start nurturing some of those qualities, and ask for help. So reach out if you need a little hand. I look forward to seeing you in an episode very soon.
You're watching Ticker. We'll have more in just a few minutes.